What's up, folks? This is Dennis. This is the Sales Drive Home, where we talk about all things sales related on my short trip home every day. So thanks for joining me. We're going to jump right into it today. We've got a topic that we're going to talk about that really has to do with a lot of components in our dealerships. We're going to talk today about service advisors and about how they can really get tuned into their customers. So we're going to talk about a couple of tips from that. And don't worry if you're a salesperson, we're going to tie it back to y'all. So, the first thing that happens when you're a service advisor and your customer pulls in is it should be that greeting, and that greeting needs to be strong. You need to have a strong greeting. You need to make sure that you are engaged with that customer. And so when they pull in, you're typing away at the last work order, and when somebody pulls in and you go up to greet them, you need to be engaged with them. And whatever happened, and this is the same thing with salespeople, whatever happened on that last visit, whatever happened on that last customer, whatever happened 10 minutes ago or yesterday or whenever, you have got to that didn't happen. You just keep going, because this is a new customer. This is a new experience for them. And so you need to be clean slate. Start it fresh. Hey, what's up? You need to be engaged with them. You need to make sure that you're listening to them. You need to ask them questions about, the problem the issue that they're having. When you're checking in their car, be engaged with them. Man, if they've got a nice car, tell them. If they got, we had a car in the other day. What was it? It was a Chevelle, like a classic Chevelle, and it was clean. And you gotta talk to people about that, man. You gotta say, wow, what a nice car, because that engages that customer. That shows them that you are focused on them. So along with our check-in and our walk around and notating any damage on the car and those kind of things, and then asking questions about the issue that they're here for today, when you ask questions, you need to listen to the answers. And that's really what we want to talk about today. That's what I want to talk about, is listening to answers people give you. And there's a skill, and it's called active listening. Active listening versus passive listening. Active listening means that I am truly listening to what somebody's saying. There's a lot of things that are involved in active listening, but really you can convey that you are involved with that customer, that you are actively listening to what they're saying. There's some simple ways to show you're active listening. And then when you show it, guess what? It's actually happening. So the first thing for active listening is when you ask a question or when a customer's talking to you, you really want to pay attention. And there's a couple of ways to reflect that you are paying attention to that customer. There are verbal cues and nonverbal cues. The verbal cues, they say something and you're with them. You understand. Yeah, I understand. I hear you. I know what you mean. And then the nonverbal cues in active listening are simple. The head shake, bad head shake, good head shake. The body language that you convey to the customer. The body language of let's say you're sitting at your podium, listening to the story that the customer's given you, and you're sitting back away from them, and you're maybe not even really focused in because you're looking somewhere else. That's not active listening. Active listening, both verbal and nonverbal, needs to be showing that engagement to that customer. Same thing goes for salespeople. Salespeople, when your customer is talking to you, be active in your listening. You know that you are not active listening if a customer or somebody that in your life or whatever is talking to you, and then they have to ask, are you listening to me? Are you listening? Guess what? That means you are not active listening. because no one on the other side of an active listener ever has to ask, are you listening to me? That's a horrible question. If somebody asks you that question in your sales environment or in your service environment or even at home, if somebody's asking you that question, you are doing a poor job at listening to them. And it's hard, right? It used to be 400 words. We can absorb 400 words a minute, or I don't know, something like that. And people talk slower than that, so there's always room. You always got time to think because nobody's talking as fast as you can listen. That's why an active engagement, an active listener, that skill is so important. Another thing that you can do to be an active listener, and even if it's not something that you need to do, but take notes, write stuff down. And even if it's stuff that you really don't need to write down, people don't think that you can remember everything. So if you're taking notes while they're talking, it shows that you are engaged and listening. And again, it may be in the service drive, it might be a common complaint, and you know all the answers, and you probably know what the problem is. But just because you know it doesn't mean the customer understands that you know where they are going and you are already there. So sometimes you've got to do that. You've got to, take some notes, scribble down, oh yeah, the tire wobbles at 70 miles an hour. You know what it is, but you're going to write it down anyway because that shows that active listening. So another component of active listening is to never assume or never jump to a judgment or never jump to an assumption when somebody's talking to you. And that really sometimes can be hard, especially if you get a common problem. Like I said, the tires vibrate at 70 miles an hour. I know what it is. But don't assume anything. Ask questions. Ask some probing questions. Get more information. Because sometimes you can jump to that assumption or you can jump to a conclusion and it's not right. And then that customer you may have been building all the way from when they drove into the service drive. You complimented them on the car, you walked around, you were engaged, you were listening, and then they start talking and you're listening and you're taking notes. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Now you've wasted all that effort. Everything that you've done up to that point, you've wasted. You've got to carry it through the whole process. And the same with salespeople. With salespeople, the same thing. Listen to the customer's needs and wants. Be engaged with them. And again, take notes. Every customer's a little bit different. Take some notes. Write some stuff down. Oh, you need this. Oh, you do this. Oh, write it down. But don't jump to conclusions. And also don't prejudge. You may have a customer that drives into the service drive and their car is beat. It's a wreck. And, they're saying, oh yeah, my car is making a noise. And you're just making this assumption because of the condition or something of their car that maybe it's something that they did or it's they hadn't maintained their car, whatever. Don't make assumptions. Don't make judgments. When you're active listening, you're going to listen through, and then when that customer is finished telling you the story, telling you the problem, asking you, do whatever, then you want to come back and you don't want to assume. Instead, you're going to summarize so that you make sure that you did actually hear what they said. Hey, Mr. Customer, just let me make sure that I understood what you just said. So you say that at 70 miles an hour, the tire vibrates. Now, is it just the front tire? Or, in a sales position, when you're selling something, when you're selling a vehicle, let me make sure that I understand what you just said. Did I get that right? Is this what you're telling me? So what you're saying to me is this. Don't make assumptions. Use active listening. Active listening is a skill. It's a learned skill. Everybody thinks that they're a good listener. No, you're not. Sorry. hardly anybody's a good listener these days. Everybody's got tick-tock timing in their head, and if somebody doesn't say something in 28 seconds, they're done. So not everybody's a good listener. You have to practice. You have to engage in it. You have to work at it. And so that's my suggestion for all of you grinders out there, for the Sales Drive Home grinding team. Work on active listening. Be active listeners with everybody. Doesn't matter. Customer, your manager, your boss, your husband, your wife, whatever. All the time, just be working on it. And then it will become a trait. Then it will become something that you don't have to work on all the time. It's just what you do. When you get to that point, and every time you deal with the customer, they feel like they're engaged. They feel like that you know what, this guy's listening to me. This person's understanding what I'm saying, or they're trying to understand what I'm saying. It will help you. So, that's my tip of the day. My tip of the day is practice active listening. Keep grinding. What day is it? It's a Wednesday. So it's a Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, depending on where you are. You still got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday this week to kill it. So come on, let's go. Get out there. Let's make some appointments. Let's get some people in. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about appointments that show, because that's me. That's what I do. I love setting appointments. I love setting appointments that show. I love being on the phone with people. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And if you have any other suggestions, email me, Dennis@thesalesdrive.com. Dennis@thesalesdrive.com. Just email me. Let me know if you got any suggestions for a topic for an upcoming show. And that is it. I am out of here, boys and girls. Again, thanks for joining me. I'm Dennis. Have a great night. Peace.